Hello, and welcome to this Patreon-only episode of Expertise is Overrated, the podcast that takes the time to answer the questions you didn't know you didn't want the answers to. I'm Sean.
And I'm Vib, and neither of us has any clue what we're talking about.
Especially today, as we yet again indulge ourselves in thinking not only that we have opinions people want to hear, but that people want to pay for. Sheer madness.
Which is apparently why we're going back to an old favourite. I can't wait. Not gonna lie.
I don't know why we've taken so long to do this, if I'm perfectly honest with you.
I think it's a big one, you know?
Well, we're bringing back two of our favourite things. We're bringing back You Wake Up As a series. This is fantastic news. And we're also bringing back Ned Stark. He says very grandly.
Well, definitely, I mean, Ned Stark has to be a win, surely. The You Wake Up As, hopefully, because we're planning on doing quite a lot more of these.
We are. So we finished civilizing the internet. We failed. Hold our hands up.
No. You gave up, is what happened.
Cabinet responsibility. I'm sorry.
No, because I was never on board with it, because I always thought it was ridiculous. And you wanted to give it a go. I humoured you, and you gave up.
The internet has proven itself ungovernable. It was a mistake. We should shut it all down.
Well, I mean, the UK, I hear, has just pulled out of being part of CERN. So, you know, maybe they'll put out the internet.
The UK has pulled out of CERN?
Yes.
Why are we not talking about that? That's a fucking terrible idea. What are we doing?
Well, many things are bad.
That's
many
really
things
bad, though. Anyway, sorry, that's not what we're talking about, but that's ruined my night. So yes, rather than civilizing the internet, we're just going to wake up in strange people's beds. I'm
we can run with that. I think that's absolutely fine, actually.
So we're starting with Ned Stark. It's not going to be solely Game of Thrones. We're going to cover media across genres, across timelines, across anything. Really, you let us know who you want us to wake up as. I think we should warn you that if you pick something we've not read, one of two things is going to happen. Either we won't do it, and that would be a terrible shame, or we'll do it without reading it or watching it, and we'll just have a go based on what we think happens in that media.
That would actually be quite fun, as in we do a You Wake Up As blind, and then we do a sort of second episode where you wake up as with afterthought / forethought, I guess.
Yes, someone has to set the scene for us. We talk about how we would act, knowing absolutely nothing about it, and then they have to explain to us how we die horribly in the first 10 minutes. That's good. I like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, as a reminder, I guess, for those who are uninitiated, and if you are, thanks for being on a Patreon, I suppose.
This is an odd way to come across it, but welcome.
I was saying that this should only be early access on Patreon, right?
Yes, so that is something we need to cover. I was just about to, in fact, because I put the order wrong in the script, and that's my bad. But I'm tired, so I don't care.
What is it? You feel like butter spread over too much bread, is that right?
It has been a week. It has been a week, and then it has also been a day. I'm not tired. I said I was exhausted. I'm not actually exhausted. I'm very, very tense. There's a lot of sort of stress being carried in my shoulders and neck at the moment. And it's really
fantastic. Nothing like a podcast to clear the mind, especially with someone you agree with all the time.
It's a good job that these are so good-natured and conciliatory, really.
Let's line up the shut-ups and go from there. But yeah, so this will be Patreon early access and then released to everybody because it's just too good to not do. Whereas Civilizing the Internet very much was just Sean's pet project and doomed to fail. But
yes, on all counts, sadly. I don't think we've quite nailed the timeline. We're probably going to do one of these a month or maybe one every 2 months.
Well, I mean, our schedule has been scrappy at best.
Let's
We will do our very best. In fact,
We will do our very best. They will come to Patreon, and then sometime between 2 weeks and 2 months later, they will come to the general feed. So if you're listening to this on the general feed and you want them faster, come support us on Patreon. It's great over there. We watch Star Wars.
And we did watch Star Wars. It's actually really fun, and we haven't finished that one yet. Watch this space.
Well,
this is not us trying to put that off because we don't want to watch the sequels. But
we need to watch Empire next, and that's fantastic. Right,
we do need to watch Empire. Yes,
the rules.
You wake up as.
We had 3. You have to try and do what the character's trying to do. I think because you have to
sort of stay in character as it were, right?
Yeah,
in when we did Joffrey Baratheon, you can't just become great.
Not Joffrey.
Yeah,
but I think for Joffrey, it was like you had to try and stay as king, right? You couldn't just like take all the money and go and live in Essos. You're not allowed to tell anyone that you have knowledge of the future, because you'd probably get burned at the stake.
Which is why we can never do a Bran.
Bran's probably an interesting one.
You haven't thought of that, had you?
No, I hadn't. I think we said it. We said it before. You can't tell anyone you're a stranger in a strange land, but that's just a really peculiar reference that not everyone will get. And there was a third rule, but I don't remember what it was.
It probably doesn't matter.
So it doesn't matter.
This creates a problem. I mean, it's always created a bit of a problem, but with Ned Stark in particular, this creates a real problem. What is Ned? What is Ned?
What is a Ned?
What is Ned? Who is Ned? Why is Ned? What is Ned's motivation when we first meet him in the story?
I think we have to decide that, right? So we, as part of the you wake up as, have to almost.
When are we waking up?
Both when are we waking up and what are we trying to achieve, right? Because the easiest thing to do as Ned Stark, no matter when you wake up, is refuse to be Hand of the King.
Yeah.
Or return to Winterfell. Cool.
Yeah. Well, that I think
jobs are good. And
the second I maybe would disagree with the first was my first thought as well. Is that, well, you wake up as Ned Stark when you're in Winterfell and Robert is on the way. You just say, fuck off. I'm not going to King's Landing. It's too hot down there.
Winter is coming. I'm needed here.
Exactly. And then you just live happily ever after, as it were.
Yeah. So I think
it's probably not that exciting.
No, I think this is why I say we need to almost, before deciding on the time, pick what we're trying to do. So I think the most ambitious thing we're trying to do is save and also fix Robert.
Fixing Robert? You can't be serious.
I said it was the most ambitious. It's not necessarily the most realistic. But yes, I think
he just doesn't need fixing.
Nothing wrong there at all.
Robert Baratheon is perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. His wife is a problem.
The second way that you could look at it is you need to survive. You want to save Robert, and you want to manage the kingdom well, or the realm well, until such time as you can deal with the Joffrey problem, one way or another, and pave the way for Robert to have a new heir, whomever that heir might be.
Yeah.
And then raise that heir well.
So actually, I would say we do start when Robert offers you Hand of the King. So. Because you are Ned Stark, you have to accept, right? There's no way around it.
It's a call to service moment, right? Robert is asking you to be king. He's your best friend, and you are the kind of person who cannot turn down a request, an ask to serve.
Yeah, when the king asks you to serve, you serve, right?
Yeah. Also, Westeros is kind of like an absolute monarchy. You don't really get to say no to the king.
Ned Stark probably does if the king is Robert Baratheon.
Probably does if the king is Robert Baratheon, but in theory, the Hand of the King is the most important job in the realm. You don't get to say no to it.
And let's not forget that the king and his entire retinue went all the way up north just to ask you that. You can't then say, no, mate.
I'm all right.
Yeah, thanks for coming, but no thanks.
Right, so we're start in the crypt when Robert asks you.
Just a third, because I feel the only other alternative would be once you've arrived in King's Landing. But I think there's actually some decisions that we should make before we go.
I think that's right. I think everything that happens after that moment sets you on your journey, essentially. And I think you almost need to marshal your way through that journey all right from the start in terms of like who you take to Winterfell and things like that. Not to Winterfell, to King's Landing, sorry.
So we're in the crypt. I'm not going to do a Robert accent because I can't do Mark Addy any kind of justice.
Can't do Mark Addy. He's a great Robert. I think, or you have to say yes, or you have to say you have to talk to Cat.
Well, yeah, fair point. I hadn't even considered that.
And we have to consider as well whether this is book or show or a hybrid. It's like,
I feel like I struggle to tell them apart nowadays so much that.
So there's a few material differences, like in terms of motivations. So in the book, Kat wants Ned to go to King's Landing, and in the show, she doesn't. So their roles are flipped. Kat and Lewin's roles are flipped in the book and the show. I think it works really well in the show. But it's stuff like that. I think the simple answer is to kind of focus on the show, and then where there are material differences with the book, call them out.
Yeah, sure. Let's go with
Apart
that.
from anything else, because there aren't a huge number of massive differences that early on, because they followed the books quite closely.
Yeah. I mean, season 1, which is effectively what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, it's essentially
for most part.
1.
Yeah, it's kind of.
1.
Yeah, they don't deviate too much, I would say.
No.
So, well, I mean, I guess it does deviate almost immediately from Robert's point of view, right? Because he literally makes the claim that he would have burnt down 5 kings or whatever he says for Lyanna Stark, which is not accurate. But you know.
he took her from me, and 7 kingdoms couldn't fill the hole she left.
That's exactly it. Yeah. In my head, I was like 5 kingdoms. That doesn't sound right.
So you need to watch A Night of the Seven Kingdoms, because one of the last things that happens in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms is Egg explaining to Dunk that there are in fact 9 kingdoms in the 7 kingdoms, and he lists the 9 kingdoms, and Dunk's sitting there on his horse going, "Fucking hell!" It's really, really funny.
You've watched the entirety of the Night of the Seven Kingdoms.
It's 6 episodes and they're half an hour long. It's really short. It's really short.
Oh, shit.
It's
Okay,
really,
well,
really
let me cancel Netflix and start Now TV.
Cancel your Netflix. Now TV is like a $5 for the first month. Get it, watch it. It's amazing. We need to talk about it.
Yeah, I know, and I did that, and then ended up realizing about 3 years later that I was still paying for it monthly without having watched anything.
Anyway, yes. So let's assume we agree to take up the position. We convince Kat that that's what we should do. We have the feast for Robert and for Cersei. And then what changes do we need to make before we set off, if any?
Well, so this is it, right? So we're now in Ned's shoes, and we know we go to King's Landing. Even on the road there, a bunch of shit's going to happen that's bad for us, which we can't materially. Well, maybe I guess we can discuss. But it feels like we can't materially change a lot of that. It's more how we handle it, and then we get to King's Landing. And I think Ned is an interesting one for us in this series as a first time, because I feel actually we can make a lot of we can be a more politically astute Ned without going against the spirit of Ned, as it were. I would argue.
I think that's exactly right. There are loads of little moments early on where Ned either quietly goes along or takes an action where I'm like, yeah, what you did was fine, but you're at like a 5 out of 10, and it's really easy to take it to a 7 or a 9 in terms of your impact. There's some really small stuff and some really big stuff as well.
Yeah, but it's doing that without sort of being really jarring, right? As in someone going, "Where's Ned Stark? What have you done with him?" You know.
But my point is, like, it's just what you're saying. You can do a lot of those, turning a 5 into a 7 or a 9.
Yeah,
without actually changing who Ned is. It's just playing the political game slightly more effectively than he does.
Yeah. Okay, so what's So what are we trying to achieve? I mean, obviously not die. That's usually the one we go for. You said save Robert. I don't know what that looks like.
And I think that's that's actually a really difficult one. Because I think the plot to kill Robert is kind of inevitable.
I mean, if that doesn't kill him, something else will, right? I mean,
will one way or another.
Well, but I guess we can come on to her in due course. The question I've got is, in Ned's shoes, right? I mean, putting aside that he is Robert's friend, and again, especially if we sort of go, well, I mean, I suppose the Robert in both the show and the books are reasonably comparable. In the interest of the kingdom, do you actually want to save Robert?
Well, I guess the question is, do we think that Robert as king with us as hand is better than any other alternative? Or is there...
you see...
But to be Ned Stark, if we are Ned Stark, we want to save Robert. We don't necessarily want to keep Robert on the throne, and I think there's a question there. But I think he's your best friend. So
yeah, do we convince him to abdicate? I wonder, because you're right. I think we try to save our friend, but I also think
we don't need to
we realize he's not the best for the kingdom, and I think we also realize we can't be that kind of hand of the king who essentially circumvents / supersedes the king, because that wouldn't sit right with us. Yeah,
you can't really be an Otto Hightower or a Tywin Lannister.
Yeah, so I think you would want an actual king. You would back.
So I think there's two ways you can do it. You can try and fix Robert to an extent, or you need to find a way. And but who do you turn to? Do you turn to Stannis or do you turn to Joffrey?
Well, this is your real problem, right? Is Robert actually just the best of a bad bunch?
And I think that's another question, because Robert is at least... Well, we see it in both the books and the films. Robert is pliable, right? Because he's so disinterested in rule. In a lot of ways, with the right hand and the right small council, he's a better king because he's an absent king.
Yeah, but he's also, one way or another, going to be relatively short-lived.
Sure.
And you do not want to hand the kingdom over to Joffrey Baratheon, because of course we now, as Ned, know what kind of person Joffrey Baratheon is.
You don't want to hand the kingdom over to Joffrey Baratheon as he is at the start of a Game of Thrones. The question, I think, is Joffrey Baratheon rescuable? Or is Tommen Baratheon an option?
Oh, not where I thought you'd go.
Or is it Stannis?
I think it's, well, in the interests of our daughter, I think you actually get rid of Joffrey quietly, which admittedly as Ned is difficult. But
that's very hard to do as Ned.
I'm sure you just talk to your wife about this, and then she will talk to her good friend Littlefinger, and then Littlefinger will make it happen. But I think you actually quietly get rid of Joffrey Baratheon, and you marry Sansa to Tommen, and then you wait for their child, and then you start a dynasty. Because I think Tommen is very malleable.
I think we see that Tommen, both book and show, Tommen has the potential to be fine.
Yes. I think if he doesn't ascend to the throne after Joffrey's shit show of a reign, and you also don't marry him to Marjorie Tyrell and marry into that disaster of a family. I think you can do a lot of good work with Tommen.
The problem you have is Stannis and Renly both know that they're bastards.
Do they? Ned Stark's the one who tells them, after all.
Do they? I think Stannis...
I mean, they might suspect, but they have no proof. Ned Stark is the one who has proof because of
I think
old man.
No. I think Stannis knows because I think he flees around the time of Jon Arryn's death. So I think he knows because Jon Arryn told him.
He might.
But Renly doesn't know.
And this is sort of the problem, right? As Ned Stark, you would probably... You want to make this a thing, right? So you actually know that Robert Baratheon's line ends with him, if we don't count his many bastards. And I don't really know what the honourable solution to that is from Ned's point of view. As in, do we go for a... I'm really struggling with names.
Again, Edric Storm?
Yes, thank you.
1 second.
Gendry.
I want to check something. I thought I had the fix. Joffrey is older than Edric Storm, which is really annoying because I thought that was the fix.
but Joffrey's just illegitimate, right?
So is Edric. Joffrey.
Yeah, but Joffrey is not the king's son.
Joffrey is not Robert's son.
Exactly.
So my thinking was that you could fix that problem without announcing the twincest. So you could legitimize and recognize Edric Storm as Edric Baratheon.
But it doesn't work, right?
But it doesn't work
because
he's the younger brother. So you have to do both.
I
don't know that Edric Storm is the right move.
I don't know if I think of all the sort of likely candidates, ultimately, well, actually, if you're Ned Stark, you know who Jon Snow is. So is there a play to be made there?
No, I don't think so, because you've sent Jon to the wall.
You haven't yet.
Well, you haven't yet. No, we haven't done anything.
We haven't yet, and I think you maybe don't do that. Is Jon Snow our long-term answer here? He doesn't want it. But maybe at that point he actually is too young to know what he wants.
Is the answer that you betroth quietly Jon Snow stroke Aemon Targaryen, or whatever his real name is, to Myrcella?
I really thought you were going to say Arya.
No, to Myrcella. And then what you do...
but she's a Lannister. She's an incestuous Lannister.
You're too narrow. You're being far too narrow in your thinking.
Yeah, I'm being Ned. But go on, finish your point and then let me shoot it down.
Yeah, no, you're being Ned is pretty much the counter to my point. What I was saying was you in most of these approaches, we've got to fix the Joffrey problem, and that's you kind of fix it by doing a roadie, strangling the child. But if we have Myrcella and you marry Myrcella to Jon without announcing the twincest, what you've done, and you announce Jon's parentage, what you're doing is you're uniting the dragons, basically, with Robert's rebellion and bringing those two strands of the kingdom together in what is essentially the perfect power couple. The problem is you have Cersei, who won't stand for it.
And the other problem is that when Robert's alive, announcing that your bastard son is in fact not your son at all, but the product of Lyanna and Rhaegar Targaryen,
he's going to be quite angry.
He's going to be quite angry about that. Because if you don't
announce it, you're wedding a princess to a bastard, which you can't really do.
Exactly, especially when it's like, well, why not Rob? What's wrong? Why not your firstborn son with my daughter? That's
yeah.
Although I suppose do you proceed with the whole Joffrey and Sansa thing? I don't think if you're anybody, especially if you're a father, and you know what Joffrey Baratheon is like, you don't go there, right?
I'm not.
Even if you're not a father, if you're just a normal person,
I mean,
you don't go there.
There's a really strong case to be made that you don't take Sansa to Winterfell. How much does
this
that
actually?
fit?
I think you maybe sort of say, "Oh yes, we'll do the betrothal,
Yeah.
right, with your eldest."
But for the sake of
But they stay in Winterfell, yeah, for the sake of proprietary and decorum, etc. We'll wait until they're of age.
Or if you need to spend time outside of the north, you can go to River Run.
Yeah, spend time with her uncle and things like that. Yeah.
Go to River Run. Spend time in the south. Go any. Because
Well, go to the Eyrie because we need to fix the Eyrie anyway.
There's a lot wrong there.
Yes. But do what Robert and Ned did, right? Say, spending time in the Eyrie was a really valuable part of our lives.
Yeah. But that was because of Jon Arryn.
Yes, I know, but
no, you're making a fair point.
Especially given the cat sort of going there anyway, right? I think you can.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're agreed we don't take Sansa to King's Landing.
Actually, sorry, I think we're actually overcomplicating this. We know what happens in the tower. So instead of having Bran climb up there, we just go up there with a fucking retinue of soldiers and say, "Ta-da! All problems in the Seven Kingdoms are solved."
Holy fuck! Did we overcomplicate things?
You're like, hey, Robert, why don't you come with me and have a look at this?
Jory,
your wife is shagging her brother.
Jory, could you take 5 men up the?
Yeah. It is still Jaime Lannister. Maybe make it 10.
Yeah. Could you take? There's been some funny. I just need you to take 10 men up there. Check it out. I want to think about rebuilding it.
Yeah. I feel the roof is not. Needs some fixing.
Bran, you're coming hunting with us. Yeah. I mean.
Is that just it? Is that job done?
Job's a good one.
And then you say, "Oh, Robert, so just to be clear, they're all blonde, right? Your family entirely throughout history has not been blonde."
So obviously what you now need to do is legitimise Edric Storm. And why don't we marry Edric Storm to Sansa?
Okay, great. Thanks for listening, guys.
Tywin probably raises his banners in rebellion.
Yeah, but do we care?
No, because what you've done there, if Tywin raises his banners in rebellion, is you've given Robert someone to fight. So you've also fixed Robert.
Yep. and I mean, God, is he going to want to fight the Lannisters after this?
Oh, he fucking hates them. It's great.
And everybody else also does, right? That you would not even remotely be struggling to get Dawn on side.
Tywin raises his banners in rebellion. You stop repaying the money that Tywin says you owe him because he's a fucking rebel. Fix the Crown's debt problem.
Yeah.
You've still got a few problems in King's Landing. Like, you've still got
You have many problems in King's Landing, yes. that is undeniable.
You've got Littlefinger, you've got Varys, you've got Dany, you've got Fagon.
I think the only problem you've mentioned so far there is Littlefinger.
I think Varys is a problem. I mean, you and I
don't think Varys is a problem.
Varys is all in on Fagon, though. Varys is a destabilising influence on the Rap.
But I think Varys is in on Fagon because of the shit show that the current setup is.
So TV Varys, I agree with you, not a problem. You fix Robert. You've got an ally in Varys. I think book Varys is not all in on Fagon because of the shit show. He's all in on Fagon for complicated and undisclosed reasons. But he's been doing Fagon for a long time.
Phrasing, but I'll give you that.
Anyway. with phrasing, he's not been doing anyone.
True. I can give you that. I think I think the problem still goes away in that Fagon's got nothing. Let Fagon land a sort of united Seven Kingdoms under Robert Baratheon, who's legitimized his actual son. Who just beat the shit out of Tywin Lannister. You will beat the shit out of the Golden Company and Fagon, no problem whatsoever. Because you can just as Robert Baratheon, you can just rehash the old lines of like, this is another Targaryen overlord coming to subjugate us. He's another Mad King. Beat him back into the sea and drown him this time. Twice drowned.
Also, I know that's not Aegon Targaryen because Amory Lorch laid Aegon Targaryen's body at my feet. This is a fake and a fraud.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, fair.
And then Jon is a problem.
Not a problem.
You sent him to the wall.
We've sent Jon. Well, we don't even need to send Jon to the wall, but we assume we sent him to the wall. But more than that,
I feel you'd be conflicted about that, though, wouldn't you? I've always wondered if Ned was actually conflicted about that by the end, as in.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know if his plan was ever to go back to the wall and just tell Jon exactly what his parentage is.
So I think his intent was once Jon had taken the oaths, because once Jon's taken the oaths, his parentage doesn't matter. Is kind of my view. That so you see it in the show when Jon on the way to the wall asks Ned, does my mother know that I'm doing this? And Ned says, the next time we speak, I'll tell you about your mother. Which is like, I'll tell you once you can't do anything, once it doesn't matter.
And he wanted to avoid that topic so much, he just had himself killed.
Yeah, basically. It's a really difficult one.
I think Ned takes a bit of a gap. I mean, I think Ned knows Jon reasonably well at that point, but there's still a bit of he needs to, determine the depths of his sort of dedication to the Stark way of life, almost. And I think him taking the black is one of those like, how are you going to take this? And if you are the man I think you are, I can tell you who you actually are, and you will take it. The way you're meant to take it. Do an Aemon Targaryen who's already at the wall, right?
Yeah,
by just acknowledging your place in society.
Yeah, it's fair. Yeah, no, it's a fair point. And Jon is like that. Jon goes to the wall thinking it's this great sworn brotherhood of, heroic, stalwart bachelor knights, and then learns that they're all spending all their money whoring in Malta. Like he's horrified by the Night's Watch when he arrives.
So let's not forget that as the Ned Stark that we are currently being, this is ultimately your actual end goal, right? Is to fix whatever's going on north, beyond the wall,
and that's the other thing, right? So you've got Mance Rayder, you've got the others. These are your winter. Winter is coming. The long night is coming. Do you just need to do a Cregan Stark? So you basically go to King's Landing for like less than a year, fix it, and then leave again, and make Stannis or Davos or I don't know who you pick. This is the problem. Everyone.
Yeah. So I think we need to dwell on this a bit more because I think we haven't really. I think we can
short-circuited the problems. I think.
Yeah. I think we can out the Lannisters. Yeah. I think we can do that. I think saying let's legitimize a Rick Storm is not as straightforward as we think because we've seen where that goes.
Everyone remembers the Blackfire Rebellion.
Exactly, and Stannis may just not go for that. Neither might Renly.
No, that's fair.
So we'll just have another War of the Five Kings. Well, I guess a War of the Three
Stags,
maybe Four Kings, on our hands.
Yeah, it's a Baratheon brother war basically you've got on your hands,
which in some ways is moot.
Small. pretty small fry, but
Well, is it though? Because as you say, I think Tywin would call his banners.
I think
He's not going to side with any of them, though, is he?
I think it's you're having all of the problems happen at once. You arrest Jaime and Cersei, put them on trial for the twincest. You've got the problem that Jaime is going to demand a trial by combat, because of course he is. And who fights him? Barristan, I think, is the
fucking
answer.
Robert would. You just know.
Yeah, to be fair, actually, just fucking absolutely.
And so then the king's dead, probably.
That's the problem. Jaime Lannister reckons he can take Robert.
I mean, I think
he can.
So
certainly he can take that Robert. So is it Jaime
I don't know if he can take.
Barristan?
Yeah, is Barristan your best bet there?
He has to be. He's the only other possible option. Do we know the things that Ned knows that we don't know?
Well, yes, we are Ned Stark, right?
So
we are like the ultimate Ned. We know everything he knows, and we know everything we know.
where is Arthur Dayne?
Dead.
Is he though?
Yes.
I don't think in the books Ned ever confirms that Arthur Dayne is dead.
Ned doesn't confirm many things.
I don't think Howland Reed is. I don't think Arthur Dayne is dead.
But then why did he bring the sword back to?
Why did Ned bring bring Dawn
Danes?
back? Because it's all part of the story.
But what's the point? Where is Arthur Dayne now? He's just fucking gallivanting around the West.
Well, he's probably Corin Halfhand, but why don't the Danes hate Ned? The Danes love Ned. This is the bit that doesn't make sense. This is absolutely not.
I think that's because what actually would have happened is that Ned went to Dawn and was like, yeah, so we had a bit of a fight, and Howland stabbed him in the neck. Not the most honourable death, but it's happened. Here's your sword.
I don't think
Ta-ta.
I don't think Arthur Dayne is dead. I don't think it matters because I think who Arthur Dayne is actually doesn't really matter. I'm trying to think of who can beat Jaime, and I think the only sensible answer is Barristan. But even
you just sent for 1-1.
Sent for 1-1.
It's like, all right, Jaime, have fun with this.
Get fucked, Jaime.
If Jaime demands a trial by combat,
do you trial by 7 him?
I was just thinking about the legalities, as in if he demands a trial by combat. Fuck off, ad block. Jesus. If you demand a trial by combat, can you then say we'll make it a trial by 7? Is it the accused who gets to decide?
So that's what happens in House of the Dragon. Not in A Night of the Seven Kingdoms. Dunk demands a trial by combat, and in reply, Aerion demands a trial by 7.
Yeah, so I thought maybe you do. Do we have 7 people who can beat Jaime's 7 people?
I don't think Jaime's got 7 good people.
Yeah, because this will happen in Winterfell, right? Let's not forget.
This also could happen in Winterfell. Who do you have? You don't have Barristan if it happens in Winterfell.
But equally, Jaime doesn't get the rest of the Kingsguard because the king is going to say absolutely fucking not.
Yeah, not a fucking chance, Kingsguard. So Jaime probably gets Sandor and 6 men and like 5 men at arms.
No, he gets Gregor, maybe, not Sandor. Sandor's Kingsguard.
Not at Winterfell.
He's...
Sandor's not at Winterfell. If the rule is this has to happen now, so you can get from the people around here.
Well, then Jaime's got no one.
Jaime's got.
He's got like 6 random.
Sandor.
Sandor and 5 random like Lannisters.
I think they have to be knights. They have to be knights because they knight Raymond Foss away so that he can participate.
Yeah, but I'm sure they've got 5 Lannister sort of loyal knights there. Wouldn't surprise me.
I think
the question is
of having enough knights.
Yeah. Well, you can knight a few random dudes.
Take a knee.
Yeah.
Anyway, it feels like a moot point, right? Even if Jaime wins a trial by combat, he's still going to be banished back to Casterly Rock. Like, he might not be executed, but he'll certainly be stripped of his role in the Kingsguard. Tywin gets what he wants. He gets Jaime back. He might not raise his banners.
Does he get him back? Can you not just imprison him after the trial? Or essentially imprison him indefinitely before the trial? Like, things in Winterfell happen slowly, right? You know, they're not sort of, they don't rush into these things. You know, it takes time to find 7 good knights.
Here's another thought. You're in the north. Does the north?
You're never getting past the neck.
Does the north have trial by combat?
That is the north, almost certainly, right?
True, but I also, they've probably got a different kind of trial by combat. I'm wondering whether, because trial by combat, trial by 7, these are Faith of the 7. These are Andal traditions.
Trial by 7 surely is. Trial by combat, I'm sure would be a northern thing as well. Yeah. But maybe it's just you get to stand in front of the tree and the tree judges you, and then you just
Jaime says, "I demand trial by combat," and Ned goes, "Do you fuck?" and cuts him in half with ice.
Yeah. Was it, trial by combat, is it? All right, let's go north of the wall. We'll introduce you to the guys with the blue eyes.
I fixed it. Trial by winter. You just invent a tradition. No one else is going to fucking know.
Oh, yes, the oldest of northern traditions, trial by winter.
We
hang you from the wall, and if a dragon rescues you, then, you're innocent.
we hang you from the wall naked for 3 days, and if you survive, fine. And then you just cut the rope.
Exactly, yeah. It's like, we didn't stipulate that we'd keep you aloft. You know, it's a good rope.
Yeah, you're free to go, chop. None of this is dealing with my core problems, which are how Ned comports himself once he gets to King's Landing as Hand of the King. And I was expecting to spend like half an hour yelling about that. So I'm really disappointed.
Okay, well, so we fixed the entire Baratheon lineage problem, right? We've imprisoned Cersei Lannister. We've imprisoned Jaime Lannister. Yeah. We've on our way to King's Landing have quickly quashed everything to do with Casterly Rock and razed it to the ground.
Yeah.
Because Robb was doing that anyway, so I feel like Ned and Roberts together would quite easily do this.
Yeah, pick up Brynden Blackfish on your way through.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Pick up Brynden. Pick up Edmure. Maybe. Okay, so we're in King's Landing.
Right.
What are the problems?
The fundamental problem with Ned's behaviour in King's Landing is that he doesn't understand that he's the most powerful man in the kingdom. Fundamentally. He just keeps getting it wrong. And it's so frustrating to see it as he... And it doesn't need to be hard power. He doesn't need to be a tyrant. He doesn't need to act like Tywin in his behaviour. But, like, that... When he arrives in King's Landing, and he's met by this flunky who's like, "Oh, the small council is meeting. Do you want to change first?" Ned says, "No, take me to them." Ned should go to them with ice on his shoulder. And his conversation there, it shouldn't be, "Is it not the King's Council?" It's absolutely fucking not. Do you lot meet without either me or the king? This looks like a conspiracy. If I hear about this happening again, all of you will be kicked off the small council. End of story.
But I think that's the point, right? You walk in, you do exactly that, I agree. And then you also just fire Littlefinger straight away.
Yeah. Also, you just
say, we actually need genuine lords here to be in charge of all this shit, right?
Yeah.
You put a Tyrell straight in charge of the money.
So I think... I have a problem with this. I think you're probably right. But I think there's a lot to be said for Littlefinger being in charge of the money is really good in a lot of ways because he's so fucking poor, like, as a lord. He has to be actually good with money. The Tyrells don't have to be good with money. They're so rich it doesn't matter.
Okay, maybe not a Tyrell, but I don't want Littlefinger on the small... No, on any council.
God, no, I don't want Littlefinger anywhere near the small council. I send him back to the Fingers. Go and be over there. You also seize all of his assets because he's got them by defrauding the crown. Just by the
right.
by.
I mean,
like that's just happening.
And I think that sort of show of strength, I think, would almost just pacify Paris.
There's so many
I don't know.
aspects of that like filter through the whole thing, like the tournament where he wants to speak to Sir Hugh of the Vale, and Sir Hugh of the Vale. I've spoken about this on the podcast before. He sends Jory to go and get Sir Hugh, and Sir Hugh is like, "Well, I'm a knight. I'm not going with you." The answer to that, what you should actually do, is tell Jory to take 10 men with him. And if Sir Hugh refuses to come, arrest him. Like Jory is acting with the voice of the hand. It doesn't matter.
He's the hand of the hand. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's a fucking pot washer. The hand has summoned you. Don't care if you're a knight. Unless you're a Lord Paramount, you get on your fucking horse and go back to the keep.
Yeah.
If you're a Lord Paramount, you get on your horse and you go to the keep slowly. This is the bit that Ned keeps missing.
I know. I think Ned is almost awed by the sort of occasion of it all, right? And you can see that in the councils, that they're so used to there being nobody of any import there, nobody with any real power in that council.
Exactly.
You walk in as the Lord Paramount of the North, right?
The
Warden of the North, with ice on your back. You're saying, this shit stops now.
Yeah. As Lord Paramount of the North, you are a de facto monarch already. You are the most powerful man in the largest kingdom and the most unruly kingdom in the Seven Kingdoms.
So I think that alone will go a long way. If you just act the part, and I think the way that you're describing it is perfect, and you just make examples. You're like, this has all gone wrong. This is all terrible. I'm going to change things now. My style is I will convict you, I'll find you guilty, and I will chop off your head personally. And things are going to change.
You don't send Littlefinger back to the Fingers. You execute him for treason.
You try him, for treason,
You bring in someone from the Iron Bank to go over the Crown's ledgers and explain the embezzlement. Because that's what he's been doing. And then you find a Master of Coin that's probably like a Manderley, or
I don't know,
a
Tyrion.
Red Wine, or a Tyrion. Yeah, even Tyrion Lannister would be a good Master of Coin, to be fair.
Depends on what you've done with Tyrion throughout this whole mess, but
he's smart enough to keep his head down, I think.
I think so, because ultimately you probably have Joffrey, Tommen, and Myrcella as maybe prisoners is a bit harsh because they are all children, but hostages effectively.
Yeah, hostages, bastard children to be raised and given positions at court, and then wet marriages of no note but no shame.
Oh god, yeah, you've only got 4 Theons at that point. Eh?
Yeah, you do.
Well, the Theon's family will still be around, whereas, the
choppity chop.
Exactly, the fake Lannister, the fake Baratheons will have no more immediate family.
No,
you wipe the Lannisters out, like they are gone.
You execute Jaime and Cersei,
and Tywin.
And what you execute Tywin if he raises his banners.
If he raises, but he's raising his banners.
If Tywin stays quiet, you don't. But you keep a really, really close eye on him, and he is raising his banners, so you execute Tywin. And then you have a conversation with Tyrion, I think. And you basically go, can I trust... You don't have any family left. I recognise your worth in a way that no one else ever has. And for as long as you work with me and for me, you have a place at court, you will be Master of Coin, you'll be Lord of Casterly Rock. And the moment anything slips, I'm going to make you a head shorter than you already are, and you don't have a lot of height to give up. Well, hey! It's that way. I've been working on that one all day. It's that Iron Fist Velvet Glove approach.
So at some point you also have to deal with the Iron Islands. So you send one guy over and it'll be done.
You don't. But
you send Rob just on his own.
You only have to deal with the Iron Islands because they're opportunistic. If you manage this properly, you don't have a War of the Five Kings for the Iron Islands to capitalise on.
Yeah, true, but you still have a Euron-shaped problem in the...
You do still have a Euron ship, but the Iron Islands are only a problem because of the chaos in the realm, right? Because they're a bunch of idiot nobodies, with the exception of Euron. But Euron, even then, he's still opportunistic. Like, he takes the Shield Isles, but you can only take the Shield Isles because the Reach is distracted.
Because everybody, yeah, I know,
the
yeah,
Five Kings.
everyone's sort of busy doing their own thing. That's true. Yeah, but I mean,
there's lots of chicanery going on.
Everything just gets really long term at that point, right? Because it's sort of, because you'd even struggle to imagine how Dany will have any chance, because she's coming to a Westeros that now hasn't had to fight a protracted War of the Five Kings.
And
you know, you're fighting against the United Westeros. Dorne being a sort of slight weird.
You send Dorne and
exception.
Martell Tywin Lannister's had.
I think that's it, right? I think that's almost as simple as that.
Fixed your problem. Sorry.
And you sort of say, you know, we have no direct open problem with Daenerys Targaryen, but equally, we're not going to hand the throne over to her.
No.
You know?
Although,
who did we put on the throne in the end?
I've lost track. I don't think it matters at this point.
But that's what I'm still saying. Is there a scenario where Daenerys can just take the throne at some point? You know, if she's married to Rob or something. I don't know.
You marry Rob to Marjorie.
Have you married Rob to Marjorie?
Just a suggestion.
That was always my play in Crusader Kings 2.
It's such an absolutely baller play to marry.
It's
Rob to
really
Marjorie.
hard to achieve. I mean, as you know, I'm not particularly great at Crusader Kings.
I'm aware.
But that was always my sort of mission. And then the one time it happened, it like instantly just everything started going wrong. Like genetics were just out to kill me. But it felt like the right play.
Feels like the right thing to do.
Because it just feels ridiculously overpowered to have a familial union between the North and the Reach.
Yeah, you've got the most martially powerful kingdom and the most knightly and also wealthiest and most food-rich kingdom.
It's sort of what else? Who's gonna? Because you still have family ties to the area, the Vale rather.
You've got family ties
River
to the Vale, you've got family ties to River Run, you've got access to people like Randall Tarley through the Reach, you've got Loris through the Reach.
And we've taken out the Westerlands, right? So
yeah, I don't know.
You are the Six Kingdoms.
8, according to Egg. But yeah.
Yeah, fine.
No, it's yeah.
So I think you can really stabilize the kingdom by just being a solid hand of the king. Robert can do whatever Robert wants to do.
I think you have
a
to
good
work
small
a bit
council
on Robert as well. I think you have to work a bit on Robert.
I honestly think if you just eliminate Cersei from the picture, like that's at least 50% of the battle there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the guy just gets to go home and not
have to deal with Cersei.
Yeah, exactly. I think honestly it'll do him. So it's just a mental health boost, right?
I think that's right. So here's a question though. Right, so obviously if we go all the way back to Winterfell and make slightly different decisions all the way through, including the massive decision of sending Jory to the tower to go and catch them in the act, it's actually quite easy. What's the latest point? I know we've only got 5-10 minutes left. What's the latest point that you think you can take over as Ned and achieve not as good an outcome, I accept, but like a relatively good outcome?
Put it this way, I'm not going to say there won't ever be another you wake up as Ned Stark scenario that we do where we wake up much, much later. There's probably a limit, right, as to where it's unsalvageable. I think once you give Littlefinger the finger, as it were, I think your ship's probably sailed.
I think once you take your wound from Jaime...
Once you take your wound, yes.
I think at that point, you've diluted your power base so much.
Yeah, I think that day is probably salvageable.
The day you take your wound, yes, but the next day, probably not. Because I think that's the day Robert leaves on the hunt, apart from anything else. If Robert's gone on the hunt, and you've done nothing, I think you lose.
I also think that would be an interesting thought experiment.
Probably.
If you are you wake up as Ned Stark when Robert is on his deathbed.
Is there
a
anything
very
you can
different
do?
scenario? I think there is.
That's a game. Let's not next, but let's.
We'll come back to this.
Let's do an episode then, and we have to start with Robert on his deathbed. And can we fix that?
You literally wake up as you literally wake up as Ned when he walks into the room and sees Robert Baratheon dying.
Yeah. Can you fix that?
And because he makes you write his will, right? And this is sort of when Ned introduces the change.
My son Joffrey, and he replaces it with my lawful heir.
Yeah. And then I think the game's afoot. You wake up as Ned Stark and you have to figure out how the hell to do that without getting killed.
I'd have to do so. I think you probably can.
I think you can do it.
You still need to act. The core point through all of this, the thing you absolutely have to do, the moment you take over as Ned Stark, is execute Littlefinger. Or at least arrest him.
Yeah, I think the question more is how do you do that without being accused of being a schizophrenic, as it were.
You just declare him. You house arrest him rather than like proper arrest. You house arrest him for irregularities in the Crown's finances, and you bring in a maester from the Citadel or someone from the Iron Bank to go over all the finances with Wyman Manderley or Mace Tyrell or someone.
Because one thing
someone who's got enough money that Littlefinger's money doesn't excite them.
Well, because one thing we haven't really discussed is actually when, in our scenario, we can march south to King's Landing with effectively a retinue of 5,000 Northmen.
But that's the other thing. Ned doesn't take enough men to King's Landing.
Yeah.
It takes like 100 men. You need to take.
And so that's the point.
10 times
Littlefinger's threat is a real threat. Because I've got the city watch. Whereas Ned's like, well, I've got an army of 5,000 lads outside.
Ned's thinking in Game of Thrones is so small, and that's his undoing ultimately. I think.
Yeah, it's literally I'm helping out my mate.
Exactly.
And then just gets hit by shitstorm after shitstorm.
And he doesn't understand the scale of the game that everyone else is playing. When he confronts Cersei, for example, about the twincest, the only thing he's thinking about is how do I make sure here that Robert doesn't find out and murders these 3 children. Cersei's thinking about the future of the 7 kingdoms. Ned's so small, but that's because Ned has PTSD. Fundamentally, he has a form of perhaps PTSD is putting it too strongly, but sort of the memories he brought home from the war, the death of Rhaenys and Aegon and all of that weigh him so heavily down. He's filtering all of his thinking through those lenses rather than the long-term thinking that you need to be an effective hand.
I agree with that. I mean, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head by just saying, as long as you remember that you are Ned Stark, like one of the most respected people in the entire island of Westeros, if you just take that kind of philosophy with you to King's Landing throughout the way, there's a lot of points at which you can still salvage a situation, right?
You've got an enormous amount of what I can only badly describe as street cred that you can just rely on because you're Ned Stark.
I think that's right. He does almost the opposite of what he's meant to do, right? People are like, oh, you're Ned Stark, you're so honourable, ha ha ha, that makes you weak. He's like, no, I'm Ned Stark, I'm honourable. Therefore, if I accuse you and arrest you, people will be like, well, shit, that guy's done something wrong.
Yeah. He doesn't recognise his honour and his name as a strength.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right.
Which is really odd, I think. Actually,
because
as a sort of character.
He's incredibly humble.
He's incredibly humble, yeah.
He genuinely doesn't think he should be Hand of the King. And I think it's a really strong argument to be made that on the death of Jon Arryn, he is actually the best person in the 7 Kingdoms to be Hand of the King, almost irrespective of who the king is.
He'd be the best choice for king, honestly.
Yeah, which is a point that I think Jaime Lannister has made. Like, Ned could have taken the throne. Ned chose not to. And Jaime sees that as a point of weakness. Ned was presented with the throne and didn't take it because it was Robert's. And the Seven Kingdoms would be in a much better position if Ned was king.
I mean, can you imagine? That would actually be a really interesting thought experiment. Like, imagine if Ned Stark had ascended to the throne rather than Robert Baratheon. Like, how different would the Seven Kingdoms be?
I think we've got 2 you wake up as Ned Starks in our future.
I think we just do... The entire podcast is now going to be, you wake up as Ned Stark. But I mean, yeah, honestly, I hadn't really clocked the whole you can just catch Jaime and
I hadn't.
Cersei in the act. That honestly came to me. I was like, well, I think I've derailed this now.
I had so much prepared. I have so many moments in King's Landing prepared, and I've just not been able to use any of them.
That's why I think we'll revisit this, because I think Ned is just the crux. Because we haven't even talked about the fact that he could have just walked into a wolf and, you know, done some shenanigans there.
Baelor becomes 1,000 pigeons.
But yeah, I mean, any final thoughts of wisdom? I guess it's unnecessary because we've sizzled many more Neds to come.
Sizzled many more Neds to come. I don't think we'll be doing Ned next. We've got a few other people in the mix. We've spoken about doing Malcador from the Horus Heresy Warhammer 40,000. We've had people suggest all sorts to us. Mace Windu is a frequent ask.
God, he'd be so difficult. Rather than you just
Snow,
chop Anakin's head off.
President Snow from the Hunger Games.
I don't think you can do that one.
Well, you don't think you can fix it?
No, because he's...
What, he is dying?
Because, I mean, I suppose we have done a You Wake Up as Joffrey. But that was different, right? Because it's sort of you wake up as Joffrey, but then your end goal is just to not get killed. I think you wake up as not Jon Snow, as President Snow, is difficult.
Yeah, I almost... Yeah, I'm just.
It's food for thought. I mean, honestly, over to you guys. What would you like us to cover next? Because
Tom Riddle, I really liked as a suggestion.
I really thought you were going to say Tom Bombadil. I was like, what do you even do with that?
Palpatine. Yeah, there's lots that we've had thrown at us. If you've got anyone you want us to take a look at, just shout. I mean, we're really excited. I think it's fair to say.
Actually, okay, I get it now. Yeah, Palpatine, Riddle, and Snow. You wake up and you're actually trying to get the evil outcome. Yeah, that'll be interesting for us because it feels like that's not what you naturally gravitate towards.
They're all villains who lose. Let's be villains that win.
Yeah. So plenty to look forward to.
Absolutely.
But I think for now, thanks for listening to this Patreon only special. No doubt we've said some things that are either objectively wrong or downright offensive. You're already paying for Discord roles, so come use them to yell at us.
If you're lucky, we might just argue with you in an upcoming episode. And if you're really lucky, we might call you an idiot. Thank you so much for your support. Come back next time for some more absolute nonsense. And no, it won't stop.
Of course. That'll be a fun thing to edit out. The blooper reel, right, baked into the episode. We love that.
Stop, for fuck's sake! Piece of shit. Ah!
Yes. This is so not getting edited out, is it?
What is going on?
Because I think I'm editing this. I'm going to make the music play where it normally plays, and then fade back out.
I don't understand why.
And then this is all going to be there. Let us know if you're still here for this.
I don't understand why it won't stop recording. This is so ridiculous.
Do we just leave?
I don't think I can. Literally, it's not working.